I'm sure you've heard about all the school board drama happening across the country lately.
And the Broward County School Board is facing a new controversy today.
Tonight, a Roanoke County School Board meeting.
A familiar scene in Southern California. Chaos erupting at school board meetings like this across the region.
Hernando County, hundreds of people turned out for a heated school board meeting after months of controversy.
Tensions flared tonight at an Ottawa Carleton District school board meeting.
The school board meeting was extremely heated, so much so that they actually closed it down to the public because so many people were interrupting and screaming over each other.
Parents and communities are utilizing this system like never before. Ever since schools reopened following the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdowns, as well as the political turmoil caused by the 2020 elections, we've been witnessing parenting being taken to new extremes. Many parents are abusing the school boards with complaints in highly phobic and harmful natures. Many issues like book bannings or certain classes facing opposition have become staples in the forefront of the increasingly controversial and politics of the school board. But as annoying and downright ignorant these parents and organizations can get, there are admittedly two truths to their efforts. The first truth is that they recognize their ability and rights to protest and oppose policies or issues that they may not agree with. School boards have to take note of comments and statements made during the meetings. That is, if one person is recognized. Many times these meetings are recorded, which the parents and their allied organizations have been able to manipulate. A parent can make an outrageous statement or push a political or even personal ideology. And while they may spew ignorance, hatred, and misinformation, they may also be reaching a larger audience if the clip of the meeting circulates on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, or publications and websites that echo the same beliefs and ideologies being expressed. That online visibility sparks support and even movements that could then pressure these school boards to fold and take action to quell the outrage. The second truth is that they understand the power of the vote. Many of the parents who make the headlines of school board drama are followers of the right-leaning politicians and ideologies that focus on controlling more local and state office power, giving their parties more influence over the legislation and even the culture within those areas. Something people fail to realize, especially within larger cities and populations, is how much more influence local and state governments have over our day-to-day lives. Whether it be our taxes and funding allocation, or laws and restrictions. I think we take advantage of how important many of our local offices are. We're constantly overlooking smaller election cycles in favor for a big presidential election every 4 years, which usually consists of federal elections like the Senate and the House races. Just recently, Philadelphia had its first mayoral race since 2019 and first race since 2015 with brand new candidates who are eyeing to replace the current mayor, Jim Kenney. However, despite such a monumental election, only 1/3 of all registered voters voted in the election. This election was described by the Philadelphia Inquirer as having historic implications, yet it can only drive out 28% of the registered voters. Something I noticed is that people who don't tend to vote always feel a disconnect between themselves and the potential future their vote could lead to. Statements like, "My vote doesn't count," or "nothing's going to change," always sadden me because you can see how failing systems that have lasted for generations have forced people to lose hope in anything improving. Going back to the school boards, parents are able to use their complaints, issues, and potential organizational support to build momentum for these local elections, which includes school board elections. That is, if you live in a district that holds school board elections. Like many cities such as Chicago and Boston, Philadelphia citizens do not elect their school board members, but rather the city council appoints the school board members from members on the city council. It's a complicated process, but this is why I previously discussed voter participation in local elections. In order to get a potentially great representative, we first have to elect city council members will best fulfill their elected position, while simultaneously considering the possibility of them being appointed to a position on the school board. We have to basically place our trust in the people we elect to then elect qualified individuals who consistently consider the interests of the communities and families of the students they're serving. Now, a common rebuttal might point to the city's population size being too large to adequately proportion representation and draw up district maps. However, this then puts into question the logistics. Wouldn't you want a separate election so you don't have to exchange council members? If they serve the same function as they would if elected, why not just allow the people to elect their representatives in education? Without being truly represented in their systems, how can people place trust in people they didn't elect themselves? This then leads to opposing views on policy and decisions made. As I mentioned in my last podcast, a heavily criticized policy revolved around the new admissions process for students looking to apply to special entry schools. The system overhaul, which now utilizes a lottery-based system, has had many adverse effects to its original intentions to create more equitable opportunity for students of all backgrounds, especially amongst Black and brown students. Parents and students have expressed displeasure with these efforts and even asked the school to provide statistics proving that the policies are working to the benefit of the students it set out to support. The district didn't provide those statistics, but the superintendent provided a number that has yet to be verified by a secondary source. Now, the easy answer to all these issues would be to go to the school board meetings just like other parents are. There's two issues with this, however. The first being that people already don't have faith in their systems and their representatives. But if you aren't even allowed to elect your representatives, you aren't seeing effective change by those in charge, how can you even trust that your word will have any impact? Will what I say truly count? Or am I just another talking head for these politicians? The second issue is the demographic of the families being served. Over 37% of students living in Philadelphia live below the federal poverty line of $19,000 annually. Parents that may want to join meetings may be constrained to their financial needs and what that may entail, like working possibly multiple jobs, and the freedom to take time off. The district isn't also very helpful in notifying and informing parents on when meetings are taking place and how those meetings can be accessed. Many of the times, the meetings are before 5. Which is either during parents working or parents just getting off of work. I believe one easy solution to this could be through opt-in emails for parents interested in these opportunities to become involved in their students' educational lives. In my opinion, Philadelphia school board situation just doesn't work. They're lacking direct democracy puts barriers between us and our leaders. I don't want people to abuse the power of electing and being able to express one's views and concerns directly to the people they elected. Rather, I want them to be able to simply have the option so that they can feel a part of their system creating change. People need to have faith in change in order to create it. Representation may create that sense of belonging and obligation to continuing their efforts for the betterment of the children at stake.